The word slope means a measure of the steepness of a line on a graph. It's the ratio of rise to run. So basically, it's just how steep the slope is of a hill. Okay? So, you know what that looks like based on a mountain or based on a hill you're riding your bike up or something like that. The rate of change is the ratio of two quantities that change. Slope and rate of change are the same exact thing. They're just different words for the same thing, which makes life more fun for you. So, if it says find the rate of change of something, or if it just means find a slope, or if it finds a slope of something, it just means find the rate of change. So, we have some things to look at. The first thing says tell whether the slope is positive or negative. Slope, if you have a line that looks like this, it's positive, and if you have a line that looks like this, it's negative. Okay? I always say we start out with a bike on the left-hand side, okay? And I'm going uphill, so that is a positive increase in altitude. Same thing with the other one. I start out with my bike on the left-hand side, and I'm going to be going downhill, so that's a negative or a decrease in altitude. So, the line points upward. This line here points upward if we were to have our little bike here. Okay? So the slope is positive, like we just talked about. Now, slope is rise over run, okay? Which means it is y over x. It's our y value over our x value. So we're going to look at our 2 points and we're going to draw a triangle between them, okay? Now, I'm going to count the number of spaces it took to get from this point to my right angle sign. And it took me, let's erase that, 1, 2, 3 little sections. So that's my answer for the top is 3. And then I'm going to count from left to right. 1, 2, 3. And it took 3 sections to get from the furthest left to the furthest right point. So the rise, we rose 3 points and we ran 3 points. 3 over 3 is 1. A way to remember that is you have to rise before you can run in life. So, is this line pointing upward? It's positive. If the line's pointing downward, it's negative. You draw your triangle and you see how many little squares it took you to get from the bottom to the top of your triangle, and that is your top number, and then how many little squares it took to get from the left to the right part of your triangle, and that is your run or your bottom number, and then you simplify if you can. Okay, use the slope -2, 1 and the point 1, -1 to graph the line. So, because we know that our little fraction that tells us how to work with those numbers is rise over run, we can just replace this right next to it, -2 over 1. Okay? Or it can be 2 over -1. It doesn't really matter. I do prefer that first one though, and I'll show you why. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to mark 1, -1. So we're going to mark first. So 1, -1, because the 1 is positive, we go right, because we always go right or left. And then the -1 is negative, so we go down, because then we go up or down, and we make our point. Okay, so that is our first mark, 1, -1. We're going to move now from 1, -1, we're going to look at our rise over run. Because our top number, and this is why I want your negative in your numerator, because our top number is negative, it's going to tell us to move 2 units down. And then our bottom number is positive, so it's going to tell us to go 1 unit right. So we're going to go down 1, 2, into the right 1. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to go down 2, into the right 1. Okay? Now I want you to cross out this stuff, because I'm only teaching you one way this year. So hopefully you don't get confused. And then you connect your points with a line and put an arrow at the end. Because your slope was negative, you should be able to put your bike at the top, and it should be going downhill. Now I'm going to do another one here. I'm going to change some of these numbers, and we're going to do another one, because I think it's important to do more than one of these, because these are difficult. Okay, so let's get all that erased. I'm going to change this, and instead of -2, 1, I'm going to say it's 3 over 2. Instead of 1, -1, I'm going to put -2, -3. And you can do this one. You can add to your notes down here. There's plenty of space. So our rise over run, we say, is 3 over 2. And because it's positive, it's going to be 3 over 2 no matter what. Okay, so we'll just write that again. Our starting point is -2, -3. Remember, this is your first mark. We always start at the origin. It's -2, so it tells us to go left on the x-axis, and then -3 tells us to go down 3 on the y-axis, and we make our first mark. Then, because the 3 is in the top and positive, we are going to move 3 units up, okay? And then the run is positive, so we are going to go 2 units right. And we're going to cross this junk out, because we don't need it. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3 over 2. 1, 2, 3 over 2. And because our slope was positive, we should be able to put our bike here. And we should be going uphill, gaining altitude. So the parentheses is your first mark, and then you follow. If it's a positive top number, you go up and to the right, always to the right. And if it's a negative number in the numerator, you go down and to the right. So positive slope, we go up and then right. Negative slope, we go down and then to the left, down. That's where we make our mistakes, and I almost made that mistake. And to the right. We always go right, whether we go up or down to begin with. Tell whether the graph shows a constant or variable rate of change. These are pretty darn easy. The graph is not a line, so the change is variable. Okay? If it is a line, is a straight line, then it is constant. So straight line's constant, not a straight line is a variable. The graph shows the distance a monarch butterfly travels over time. It's been a long time since I've seen a butterfly. Tell whether the graph shows a constant or variable rate of change, then find how fast the butterfly is traveling. Well, that is a straight line, and we just said that if it's straight, it's a constant. So it is traveling at a constant rate of speed, meaning it's not getting faster or slower, it's just cruising along. So the amount of distance is the rise, because that's the word on your y-axis, and the amount of time is your run because that's the word on your x-axis. So you can find the speed by finding the slope or rate of change, which is y over x. Okay, so what you do is they already have 2 points marked there, right? So you draw your triangle here. Now these are going up by 20s, these numbers, so it's not just 1, 2, it's 20 for the first box and 20 for the second box, which is 40. Okay, and then these are going by 1, so it's 1 for the first box, 1 for the second box, which is 2. And then you simplify and you get 20 miles over 1 hour. So the butterfly travels at 20 miles per hour, which is pretty stinking fast, I feel like. So do your check it out and tell whether it's negative or positive, and then draw your triangle and count how many you had to go up from bottom to top and then how many you went to connect the horizontal line.